Hello, what's up friends? My name is Shayda Campbell. Welcome to a little video titled Why I Hate Watercolor Painting, also known as my most clickbaity title ever. Before you leave, yes, I don't hate watercolor painting, but I used to hate it. I used to hate it so much, and I'll get into that in a second. But the main thing here is that I'm guessing some of the things that I really loathe about this medium are some of the things that might be frustrating you as an artist. So let's chat. I've always been a creative person and I considered myself an artist from a young age, but in high school I got super focused on always making my art perfect. I was doing a lot of pencil portraiture, pencil drawings, acrylic paintings, some oil paintings, and all of those mediums you can erase, you can do it again and again and again until you get it right. You can, paint over the entire left third of your painting and start fresh. And so the reason I hated watercolor was that I couldn't do any of that. I couldn't work on a painting tirelessly until I got it right. My mistakes were very upfront. If I made a mistake, I would just want to scrap the whole thing. And so I just thought watercolor is not for me. I'm going to leave it alone. I'm not going to touch it. And I went on my merry way with my other mediums. And many of you will not be surprised to hear that what happened next is that I got really bored of making art. Trying to be perfect is not very good for creativity. It really stifles the artistic process and spirit, I think. And so I was going to go to art school and I didn't go for lots of reasons. And I went into my 20s and I just stopped really making stuff. The only times that I would get creative was, I was waitressing a lot, so I might do the chalkboards at work, or I'd make a card for a friend's birthday or a poster for whatever. That was it for my 20s. I really wasn't creating. But as I entered my 30s, I kind of felt like I wanted to get creative again. And it was all those little things that I'd been doing, those imperfect, everyday kind of things that really brought me back to my art practice. And I had an old watercolor set and I picked it up and I thought, why don't I just try a totally new medium? And actually some of those first tries you can find on my YouTube channel. I started documenting on YouTube, and that's kind of where this channel started. I wasn't very good at watercolor, but I didn't hate it as much as I used to. I was no longer in any way interested in making things perfect. I had opened myself up to really enjoying the freedom of this medium. With watercolors, because you're not just going to erase or paint over a big mistake, one of the key things that I learned is that you want to start really light. Just begin with the lightest colors, with almost an underpainting. Just start with those very transparent paints with lots of water in them and get some of your main subject on the page. That way, if you need to make changes, you're able to add so much more paint and darken things so much more later that you are in some way able to fix up some little mistakes that you might have made. With watercolor, you always want to just start light and then continue to layer and layer and layer and add color and contrast as you go. So one of the reasons that I really hated watercolor was that my paintings always looked really flat and dull and lifeless. And it took me a while to learn that my friend is the technique wet on dry. You want to let those initial layers dry, those light layers, and then start to build up contrast and color with darker colors as you go. So let everything dry and then go back in with a darker color. And not only does that allow you to build up contrast and guards against making like a really dark mistake right in the beginning, but it allows you to add precision. That's something else I really hated about watercolor. I felt like it wasn't very precise. Like it was just so loosey-goosey and I was all over the place and I couldn't get like sharp lines and contrast and detail. I was lacking all of that and I wasn't happy. And so I learned that by allowing things to dry and then going back in with maybe a little bit of a darker color and a smaller brush, I could be as precise as I would have been with a pencil, but I was able to do it with the watercolor medium. So in that way, the medium really opened up to me. When I realized the good word of wet on dry, I was like, oh, I could really make some interesting stuff here. And if you go back into my first YouTube videos, you'll notice that I don't layer. I just kind of paint a wreath and that's that. And that was something that I learned as I went along. Finally, what I want to impart at the end of this video is that what I really hated about watercolor, what I really did not like, is what I learned to absolutely love and what freed me up to embrace the medium. What I hated was just how loose and free it was. And at this point in my life, that's what I love about it. Watercolor is a medium of happy accidents, as I always say, of just painting things as you go. I certainly do not do as much planning as I used to. With other mediums, I would have maybe notes and drawings. With watercolor, now this is just my personal approach, I just kind of let go of a lot of that. This is the medium I reach for when I just want to sit down and paint something, just because it's fun, not because I have a grand project or a large scale masterpiece on the go. This is just what I do to relax and enjoy my Saturday afternoon. And as I'm always encouraging you on the channel, it's all about just those loose brush strokes and just running the brush across the paper and enjoying the act of painting. Get lost in the materials and just have fun with it. A painting doesn't need to take all year. It can be completed in an hour. That's what I think I would have really rallied against when I was in high school. And that is what I truly love about the watercolor medium now. That's what I love sharing with you here on YouTube, because art shouldn't be scary, doesn't have to be big, this doesn't have to be fine art. We can all enjoy art for what it is. It's play. Creativity is play, and anyone can do it. Hey friends, if you love this channel, you can support us by simply clicking the subscribe button. Yes, that's all you have to do to make these videos possible. And if you want to support the channel further, you can head over to my Patreon page. We have Patreon. It's a great way for you to say that you love these videos, keep them coming. All the bonus content is weekly, so you're getting new, fresh stuff every week, and it starts at just $2 a month. At the start of each month, the Patreon bonus material is an extra video, so that means this weekend, extra tutorial. And for September, the patrons have requested kind of like North American wildflowers. Last month we did Australian wildflowers. So that's exactly what you'll find on Patreon tomorrow. So please consider taking a look at my Patreon page. You'll support this channel and get tons of extra content like coloring pages, worksheets, and extra videos.